Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Dan Mack. I'm a first year medical student, and today I thought we'd talk about some tips and advice on how to pass the GAMSAT. So to do this, I brought my good friend and GAMSAT tutor, Rose.
Oh, hey guys! Yeah, my name's Rose. I'm a fourth year student here at Nottingham, here to talk about the GAMSAT today. I think some people do find this section really difficult. If you're not used to writing essays, it can seem a bit overwhelming. But basically, for the GAMSAT, there's no set syllabus of how they mark it, which is a bit annoying. But it's basically marked based on your thoughts and ideas, and then also on your structure. So in terms of the thought and ideas, that involves you. They give you the 5 quotes, and you want to look at the quotes and interpret them, but actually interpret it really quite broadly, and then argue for and against whether you agree with the quote by using examples from current affairs. So reading the news is really good, but also historical things as well, because in terms of thought and content, you want to show that basically someone that's really well read. Not that I was, I had to look at all that.
And you can make yourself seem like that though, by just not narrowing your options down. So don't be like, oh, this is what it's about, and they're just talking very specifically, because if you keep it broad, like you said, you can come across well-read, because you can talk about all these variety of things.
Exactly.
And not limit yourself, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'd agree. I think, so I say to people, when I tutor, actually going on Reddit I love Reddit, but Reddit is really good for GAMSAT prep. So I went on something called Reddit Futurology, and they've got a biotech section which talks about weird research that people are doing. One I talked about in my essay, how they use fish skin to heal burns. Okay. And the essay was about innovation and creating things in times of adversity, and I was like, okay. Oh, well, this is one example of that. So, or Reddit as well. I went on fact of the day, or today I learned is so interesting.
Yeah.
You can spend hours on there. Yeah, loads of
I personally haven't seen it, but I'll give it a look.
Oh yeah, no, it's really good. Or just going on Wikipedia, but basically just trying to get together. I made a list, a mnemonic of 20 things which you can look up from many angles. Things like the Iceland abortion referendum. So with that you can look at the role of religion in society, and you can look at how medical practice changes. You can look at politics. So it's things that
you can link them into different things no matter what you get in the essay.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I'd say don't worry about memorising dates and facts, but learning really broad things. Or kind of how technology is changing, how medicine is changing, space travel, agriculture, education, but also in your essay try to include examples from different countries and different time periods, so that it doesn't look like you only know about the UK or whatever. You want to look very broad. So but basically you get the quote, you'd interpret it. So the example that I often teach is there's a Helen Keller quote which is, "It's better to walk with a friend in the dark than alone in the light." So the way you'd interpret that is, you could interpret friendship to be any alliance between two parties. So that could be a research friendship or a political friendship. So that essay is basically saying, is it better to collaborate or to work on your own? So the broader you interpret it, the easier it is.
The easier you can write your essay, you're not limiting yourself,
Exactly.
The exam's hard enough, you don't need to make it harder.
Yeah, exactly. Make it easy for yourself. But yeah, so during the essay, make supportive arguments and then contradictory arguments. And I themed my paragraph, so in medical science, there are many examples where collaboration is really effective. For example, in COVID, countries sharing their tips on treatment and things that have worked, things that don't work, social distancing, that kind of thing. But then there are some examples where collaboration isn't as effective. Or you could talk about political alliances, where sometimes that is helpful and sometimes that's not helpful. And just making it really broad is basically the thing you want to do.
Definitely.
Yeah, and then at the end of the essay, you kind of conclude it by summarising, this essay has interpreted the quote of whoever to mean X, Y, Z, and it's given supportive arguments, and then you list them, and then contradictory arguments, and you list them. And then you kind of say, well, this is a complicated issue, which it is, but then you have to kind of take a stance on it. So say this essay concludes that it is better to walk with a friend in the dark, or other words, collaborate in times of adversity. So you want to kind of take a stand on it one way or another.
Link in. I like how you link there, use their own words effectively, and it makes it for a good essay. I personally, stupidly, did the exact opposite. I was like, this essay is talking about intolerance, and then I defined what I meant by intolerance, because I thought I've read loads of things, people are like, oh yeah, if you define the term, you can talk about it. But then I fell into the trap of only talking about intolerance and not bringing other things in. So my essay was very like short, if you will, because I didn't have much to say.
Yeah, you're like,
yeah.
oh, that's the end. Yeah,
yeah.
Exactly. But it can feel really difficult to do that, like, off the top of your head. So I would say, yeah, just having a list of different themed things. So have a list of things that relate to like technology, agriculture, war, politics, you know, education, that biotech, that kind of thing. Because these are things that you can look at from many angles, and also bring in philosophy if you can as well. The first task is more concrete, so it will be things like politics or science or religion. But then the second task is more personal.
Yeah, it's kind of like. So it's like for my second one, for example. So my first one was on like tax, and then what does tax mean? Essentially, which I stupidly again defined tax and got stuck. And then my second one was like, yeah, like tolerance, I think it was, or something like that. So it was very like, what do you think about tolerance? How do you interpret it? Things like that, yeah.
Yeah, but I would say for the because some people say like, oh, write about your personal experience, which you definitely can. But I actually, personally, I structured it in the same way as Task A, and I used more ethical examples. So things like, you know, like the Down syndrome screening in Iceland. There's a really good documentary on that. Charlie Gard, you know, things that are really, really like sensitive, but that you can look at from multiple angles, because it still shows that you're very well read. So that's kind of what I did.
Fair enough. Well, what I did before the thing is I read this great book, which you've probably
seen. We've all read it. The Meaning of Things.
The Meaning of Things.
The GAMSAT favourite.
It's amazing. So yeah, basically what it has inside it has all different type of topics. It's got blame.
Yeah, we'll go with the next one. Blame.
And yeah, it'll tell you a little essay about it and how you can look at it. So I personally loved it because, yeah, it just gave you a different perspective on things, you know. So when I came to my one, I very luckily read one on tolerance. So when I wrote my essay on tolerance, I was like, oh,
it's so great when that happens. You're like, oh wow,
I've just read this. So yeah, I'd recommend that. One thing I used is a little system we learned all the way back in GCSEs, all those many years ago, which is the PEEL method.
Oh, right, yes.
So yeah, give you a point, evidence, explanation, a link. And I thought this really actually helped because I'm rubbish at writing essays. That's why I chose science and not a humanities subject. So I use that a lot, but everyone has a different styles of essays, whatever makes you feel comfortable. Yeah, don't fall in that trap of limiting yourself. You know?
Yeah, and I think that's definitely true. It feels so childish to be like, oh, GCSE writing techniques, but actually it's really helpful because your paragraphs, when you're making your argument, you want to kind of be like, this evidence support the quote because this evidence contradicts it because, and then summarise that and then link it back. So then you'd say, so the case of like, I don't know, biotechnology provides conflicting evidence for the quote. Just summarising it, because they do mark you on your like essay structuring as well.
Yeah,
so it's quite important. Yeah, to be structured.
Yeah, don't just ramble on. Have some sort of structure. Like make a plan. Use the reading time you have to make a plan. It takes a few seconds to read the 5 quotes. You can even write on it, draw your mind map or whatever, and then cross it out or whatever you want to do. Make a list and then cross it out so they don't mark it and just write. Because use that time effectively to structure it, so you don't find yourself just rambling on and going here and going there.
Yeah, it's very easy to ramble. You have to be like, no, stay on task.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash like, smash subscribe, leave me a comment down below to let me know which tip you found particularly helpful and which tips you'd recommend to other people. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm going to leave Rose's link to her tutoring in the description down below, so go check that out. And yeah, catch you guys later.